Mike Neiss, 40-year resident, live in Ward 2. And my background in the community, it's really quite interesting. I'm here like many people because of Palisades nuclear plant. I was in corporate at Consumers Power. They sent me over to help them work through some problem-solving issues, some management development, some leadership development. Kind of fell in love with the area. I left Consumers Power for a short while, went to General Motors, but still chose to live in this neighborhood. I came back and did the Nuclear Operations Division strategic plan, helped facilitate that. Did that work, started my consulting business, had an office downtown, an office over in Old Harbor Village, currently working out of my home. But in the last 6-7 years at my age, I've decided it's time to cut back a little bit. And I was always raised to give back, so it's been a chance for me to get involved in the community. Beyond my work with the city on city planning, I'm also on the economic development team. I consult with a lot of our nonprofits on their strategic planning issues. I'm a director of the Boys and Girls Club, trying to bring that to South Haven, so I jumped in anywhere I can. Planning Commission is charged with a couple of very important things: zoning and future land use decision. We do not make policy. City Council often refers issues to us to take a look at, and working together with the staff, we come up with often some recommended draft ordinances for the council to look at. We also consider land use issues, such as site development work that we have to approve. It's a heck of a job, let me tell you. There's 9 citizens on the Planning Commission. We like to tease the council a little bit. We do the heavy lifting. Together with the staff, we're involved in the big decisions on our ordinances, right. And of course land use decisions such as Overton, things of that nature. So that's always been important to me, to take time to give back, because we are blessed with a great community and we get a lot from it. Right. But secondly, I really think I bring a skill set from my work as my 30 years working as a consultant that I think the city needs. Mm-hmm. You know, I've worked in major, most of my work is around major change projects, strategic planning, do an awful lot on culture building and brand building. Mm-hmm. And I developed a lot of the problem solving and decision making tools that are used at Ford Motor Company and other automotive companies, and I think we could learn a little bit from the outside in terms of being a little bit more sophisticated in our processes that we use. So that's the other reason I'm here. I think I have something to offer. Everybody on that commission brings a different gift, and that's what makes us strong. Actually, my second Planning Commission meeting was when we considered the new proposals for amending the 2016 ordinance for STRs. We were presented with a list of 6 issues from the City Council to address, including concern about density in our neighborhoods, impact on our school systems, impact on housing prices, impact on the tradition and character of our existing neighborhoods. So we did many hours of work on that, and I think we did a nice job coming to consensus. But in terms of where we are, what I think we're seeing now is the evolutionary change that says we didn't really address effectively those 6 criteria they sent for us. One of the things that I think that we're learning is we have to be far more open to different perspectives. We have great resources. We have research instruments that we've commissioned. We have our economic development plan. I don't mean this to sound the way it's going to sound, but we like easy when we like quick. Mm-hmm. This issue is not easy and quick. It's very complex. Right. So one of the things that I've seen change, or the differences, is residents are much more vocal about the STR issue. Yes. As a matter of fact, saying it gently, they're actually quite upset that they feel their voice was not heard. And through that, you've seen some citizen groups rise up to raise the issue. I think there are issues. I think there's a misconception. I think people think that our citizenry is just upset about golf carts and intensity and partying. That's not it. Their biggest concern is what's happening to their neighborhoods, plus what's happening to our school district, what's happening to our economy. I know you're going to ask me a little bit about economy and whether that's filtering down to the neighborhoods. The last thing, I think that's not going to be a surprise to you and the talks that you've done, there is a lot of energy to make this a ballot initiative in November. I personally do not want that. I believe a ballot initiative that the citizens have to initiate is a statement of the failure of government. And this belongs in our process. This belongs in the hands of our city council, belongs in the hand of the planning commission to make the decision that best fits their constituency. First, just a small criticism. I think that's the wrong question to ask. I think we should leave that economic modifier out of there. What is the impact of STRs on the town? Because we have a lot of impacts that are hard to put into numbers. I would argue that STRs is not primarily an economic issue. If it was based on economics, a recent example, if we were to make decisions based on economic advantages to the community, we would have marijuana dispensaries in town. The citizenry started an petition initiative and said no. We don't believe the benefit of the dollars we would receive would offset the possible cost to community values, to our community traditions.
Right.
I see STRs being almost the same thing. So yes, let's acknowledge that there are some benefits, absolutely benefits. We need places to house tourism. We want them, we enjoy them. They do provide a nice stream of revenue for our businesses. So to that end, they meet an economic good. The problem with that economic good is we also get blinded by that. There are more ways to house tourists than just short-term rentals. We are an outlier in the state of Michigan. With our 500 plus, we are so far from the norm. And yet, all you need to do is look at our tourism neighbors, tourism-based neighbors, communities, and find out they're doing just fine by limiting theirs to 100, to 50, to 30. Their tourism's doing just fine. So I think sometimes we conflate, or we try to make this too simple. Oh, if we don't have STRs, we won't have tourists. If we don't have tourists, our businesses are going to go out. I suggest to you that we don't have the data to support that. It's very difficult. I love numbers. I don't think they tell the whole story, but I think fact-based decision making is important. And it's very, very difficult to get that information. I would argue, though, that what we do know is that the dollars produced by the short-term rental industry, by and large, do not stay in the city. We have the lowest income rate in the county. The people that live in wards 1, 2, and 3 have the lowest income in the county and the highest cost of housing. That money that's being brought in here is not filtering down. We know that 76% of the employees that work in the downtown area, that work in our downtown businesses, come in from other neighborhoods, come in from other communities. It's not going to our people. 71% of the people that live in South Haven, wards 1, 2, and 3, go outside the city for employment. And they do that because here's the other problem with the STR revenue stream. It's seasonal work. It's low wage work. You cannot live in South Haven based on being an employee of the tourism industry. You can do very well if you're an owner of a business in the tourism industry, but by and large, we're also seeing that our small businesses has been on a downward trend for ownership in the city. So we've got to balance the benefits of short-term rentals, acknowledge what they do for us, but there's two sides of the scale. There's the positive and there's the negative, and we have to be willing to listen to people to get that. I for instance, I'm quite worried what's going to happen off season. We're under 5,000 residents. We got a lot of restaurants. I'm not sure the 5,000 people are going to be able to support the year-round aspirations of our businesses. So. We need to take advantage of what we already have. We have an economic development plan, a strategic economic. We need to implement it. We're years behind. We need, in my opinion, both as a resident, as a consultant who does this for companies, and as a commissioner, the two most important staff jobs in the city are city manager and economic development director. We don't have an economic development director. We need to get one now. That's the biggest thing. And then we need to listen to what the economic development strategic plan tells us. First of all, of course, tourism's a great thing, but we're at a tipping point. We cannot sustain the economy solely based on tourism. We need to open our eyes to other possibilities. So how, to make that segue into the second part of your question, how do you do that? Well, the first thing you need to do is break that paradigm that we are just a tourist town. That's crazy. No, we're not. We need to take a look at what demographic we're trying to attract and what it takes to get them here, including not only employers, but employees. The second thing is understand our demographic and find entrepreneurs that can respond to that. I'm not really happy with it, but the truth of the matter is, and I don't know how else to say this, and I apologize to whoever sees this, but look at our demographics. We're an old white community. And an old white community cannot sustain a city into its future. We need to be able to attract diverse people into the city, and we especially need to be able to attract millennials. We need to be able to attract people that have that entrepreneurial spirit. And to do that, there's a whole growth market there for entrepreneurs that would serve that aging community, and we're taking some nice actions. I do think there's a need for affordable housing projects like Overton. We have an obligation, I believe, as a community to protect those that built this community. And I'll tell you, the thing that tears at my heart looking at my neighborhood, this is gentrification on a major scale. The people that we're forcing out of town are not our visitors, are not our second homeowners. They're the sons and daughters of people who worked in the factories. They're largely people of color. And you can just see that line moving. Yep. And I think if we read our master plan and if we read our charter where we're responsible for the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens, then we're going to have to take some pretty dramatic steps to make sure they have housing, affordable housing. That doesn't mean subsidized housing, but it does mean projects with high density. That's how you get costs down. And we also have to remember that that affordable housing, people like to conflate and say, well, it should be market-based because, those people, No. It's that affordable housing needs to be built for those people that have to leave the city for employment now. Those people that are cooking your food that you love, those people that are serving you the food, those people that are cleaning those condos, they deserve to live in the community that they built. And that's what affordable housing needs to be aimed at. I know my friends that have a problem with Overton are not going to like to hear this, but I think if we don't change this trajectory, that's just the first one. We cannot let people in the city go homeless. I applaud the activism that I'm seeing. I encourage people to have their voice be heard, and there's a number of ways they can do that. Certainly they can contact their representatives, but more so than that, get involved. We always need people volunteering to be on our commissions. We need people to run for office. I especially appeal to the people between 25 and 40. Please get involved. This is your city. Yeah. and don't let us 70-year-olds determine the neighborhoods your kids are raised in. They may not fit your needs. And the other thing is, I encourage people to educate themselves. So we need to get comfortable with paying attention and reading through the research reports that have done, the housing analysis. We need to have discussion groups in our neighborhood. What does this mean to us? I love my friends that serve in office here. I was disturbed when I heard the statement at the last council meeting that said, well, we didn't really listen to that health report because that's too high level. We need nuts and bolts stuff. I go, heavens, no. You're running a city. It is the higher level stuff. You need to understand that our condition is a result of multiple forces at work. We need to understand we're no longer playing checkers. We're playing chess. And we need the best information, the best and the brightest. And I make my appeal to my fellow residents, get informed. I make my appeal to the staff especially. Trust that stuff, man. You gotta go look at it, gotta read it, gotta think about it. And to the city council, the same thing.